Hello, thank you for stopping here. I am Tim Tokwe. In today's tutorial, I'm going to be showing you the cutting and drafting part of this Vicky James blouse. This is a very interesting tutorial. So if this is what you're interested in, you want to continue watching this video, click on the like button, subscribe to this channel, and turn on your notifications so that you get notified each time I upload a new video. So let's go straight into this tutorial. So these are the fabric that I'm going to be using for this blouse. I have crepe fabric here, and I have 1 yard of each for sky blue and red, and this is a light crepe fabric. So we are going to be needing a pattern paper for this tutorial. You can see that this pattern paper is long. That is because the blouse length is long. So we are going to be drafting the front part first. So this is going to be the starting line, and from the starting line I'm going to take my tape, and then I'm going to be measuring my bust point. My bust point is 9 inches. I'm going to go ahead and mark that. Then I'm going to be taking my half length. My half length is 14 and a half. I'm going to go ahead and mark that. Then I'm going to be taking my under bust measurement. My under bust is 12. My half length is 14 and a half. And then I'm going to be taking my shoulder to hip measurement. So please take notes. So you mark your shoulder to hip measurement, and from this shoulder to hip measurement I'm going to be marking 5 inches extra, and this is going to serve as the blouse length. So now I'm going to go ahead and mark 30 inches. So I'm going to be drawing a straight line across each of these points. So I'm just going to extend this line and label it. So this is the bust point, this is the under bust, this is the waistline, this is the hip line, and this is the blouse length. So now on this starting line I'm going to be taking my neck measurement. So I'm going to bring my tape here and place it at the center here. Then I'm going to be taking 2 3/4 of an inch. I'm using this because I don't want it to be wide. I want it to be firm, very close to the neck. So if you are like above average, maybe like your bust measurement is above 40 inches, so you can just decide to use 3 inches. Then from here I'm going to be coming down this way. So this neck is like a queener neckline. So now I already marked 2 3/4 here, so I'm going to come down this way and mark 4 inches. And at this 4 inches mark I'm going to place my tape like this, and then I'm going to be marking 3 3/4 inches. So I just want it to be 1 inch wider than what I mark at the upper part there. So now I'm going to take my ruler and connect from the 2 3/4 inches to the 3 3/4 inches this way. Then from this 4 inches mark here I'm going to come down by 2 inches, and then at the 2 inches mark I'm going to draw a curve like this from the 4 inches to meet that 2 inches mark. So if you cannot do that, you can just use your curve and you're going to be getting the same thing. So now what we are going to be doing now is to divide our shoulder measurements. So I'm going to place my tape here at the center, then I'm going to divide my shoulder measurement into 2. That will give me 6 3/4. I'm going to go ahead and mark it. Then from here I'm going to come down by 1 inch, and then I'm going to be connecting it towards the neckline. So I'm going to mark it this way. Then from this point I'm going to be getting my armhole length. So to get that I'll divide my bust measurement by 6 and then add 1 1/2. So that's going to give me 7 1/4. So now I'm going to draw a line across the 7 1/4 inch, and this is going to be my chest line. And so from this shoulder slope I'm going to connect from the shoulder slope to the chest line now, and this is going to be my armhole length. So this armhole length I'm going to be locating the middle. So I'm going to mark the middle here, and then at the middle I'm going to be going in by 1/2 an inch. So on my chest line I'm going to be dividing my bust measurement into 4, so that will give me 8 1/2. And then I'm going to take my curve, then connect these 3 points together with my curve. So this is going to be my armhole. So now this blouse is not going to have a dart, it's only going to be having a side dart. So on my bust point I'm going to be taking half of my nipple to nipple measurement. So my nipple to nipple measurement is 6, and so divided by 2, that's going to be 3 inches. So I'm just going to mark these 3 inches. I'm not going to be using this now, but I'm going to be using it later for my side dart. So now we already took our bust measurements here. So now what we are going to be doing now is to take our under bust measurement. So I'm going to be dividing my under bust measurement into 4, and I'm going to go ahead and mark it. So here I decided to tighten my under bust, though later I decided not to tighten it again. While I was sewing it, I did not tighten it because I want some freedom. So here I went in by 1/4 of an inch to tighten it. So you don't have to tighten your under bust. If at all you want to tighten anything, you can just go ahead and tighten your waist. But I did not tighten any eventually by the time I was sewing it. So now I've marked so just go ahead and divide your under bust into 4 and mark. Then on the waistline, I divide my waist measurement into 4 also. So here you can start to tighten your waist by 1/4 of an inch, just to make it snatch and to have more fitting. So now my hip line, I'm going to be dividing my hip measurement into 4 also. So here I have 9¼ inch. So I've marked it. But this style, the hip part is not so fitted, so I added 1 inch extra to it. So I'm just gonna have to mark that now. So I'm not going to be touching the blouse length yet. So now I'm just going to go ahead and connect these things that I have marked. So I'm just going to connect it this way. Then I'm going to be turning my cuff to the other side and connect from the waistline to the hip. So you can see that I'm connecting to the 1 inch extra that I marked. So please do the same. So after connecting to the hip, what I'm going to do is to bring my tape on the hip line. Then I'm going to be going up by 1 inch. So at this 1 inch mark, I'm now going to be connecting from here to the blouse length. So that is where the blouse length comes in. So now I'm going to be connecting it in a V manner. So that is where we get that pointed part that we have at the tip of our blouse. So now what I'm going to be doing now is, this is the waistline. So we are going to be getting another waist measurement, and that is the lower waist measurement. So to get this, that lower waist is the waist measurement around the navel. So you are going to be needing this measurement for this blouse. So you are just going to measure your client from the shoulder to the navel. So you are going to take that half length measurement. So for me, that half length measurement from my shoulder to navel is 18 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that. So that is just what we need, not the round measurement. So I'm just going to go ahead now and mark that. So draw a straight line across this 18 inches mark. So this is going to be my lower waist, and I'm going to label it as waist 2. So what we are going to do now is to partition this into 3, but we are not going to be doing that yet. So we are just going to take the side dart now. So the side dart, to take the side dart, you know that when you are using a side dart, that means you are going to be taking your half length for the front and the back separately. So for me, if my front half length is 14.5 and that of the back is 13. So if I should subtract 13 from 14.5, I have 1.5 inches. So it is the 1.5 inches that I'm using for my side dart now. So I just took 1.5 inches from my below my bust point now. So that is what I marked on the side here. So now I'm going to connect it to my bust span measurement here. So but I'm not going to stop here. I'm going to be coming out by 1 inch. So I'm going to mark 1 inch this way. So now I'm going to connect from my side dart to that 1 inch that I just marked backward. So this is going to be my side dart. I hope you understand what I did here. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this now. Before I continue cutting, I'm going to be adding my seam allowance. So I'm going to be adding 1 inch as a seam allowance all the way down, and I'm going to be reconnecting it with my curve, just like this. So I'm just going to extend the side dart this way, and now I can go ahead and cut it out. So I'm not going to be cutting this side yet, because by the time I close my side dart this way, just watch the way I'm closing it. I'm just picking it from the lower part to meet it at the upper part on the bust point line. You can see what I'm doing. Just do the same and just place it like this. So by the time I took it, now you can see that there is a shift and it did not align. So now I have to make this align. So now I'm going to use my ruler and then connect it, reconnect the line this way. So can you see what I just did? So you are just going to do the same thing. So that's why you cannot immediately cut the excess pattern away on the dart. So now I'm just going to go ahead and trim it off. And if you cannot hold it down with your hand, you can just use a tape to hold it in place. So now I'm just going to extend this point because I'm going to be notching that part, so that there is it's going to indicate on my pattern that this is where my side dart is, and I'm going to be transferring this to my fabric and lining, because I'm not going to be closing this, I'm going to be holding it on the fabric. So now we are going to be drafting the back pattern. So just like we did to the front, I'm going to mark my bust point from the starting line, my under bust, my half length. So now note my half length for the back is 13 inches. Remember that for the front I marked 14 and a half. So that is why it's important for you to take it on your client. So suppose you did not take this measurement on your client, so you can just deduct 1.5 inches from your front half length, for your half length for the front, because for most people the difference is usually 1.5. So now I'm going to be taking my shoulder to hip measurement, but I'm not going to take it directly from my shoulder. I'm going to bring the front pattern. Now I'm going to measure from my waistline. So you can see this is my waistline on the this is my waistline on the front pattern. So I'm going to measure to my hip line, and here I have 10.5. So now I'm going to do the same thing on the back part. So from my waistline here on the back part, I'm going to mark 10.5, and that will give me my hip line. And then from the hip line, I'm going to be counting 5 inches extra. So that will be the blouse length, just like I did to the front. I did not mark my hip line, my shoulder to hip directly from the shoulder for the back because of my half length. Remember that the half length for the front and the back is not equal. So if I should take it that way, by the time I stitch it, it's not going to align. So that is why it's important to bring the front part and measure from the waist of the front part to the hip line that way. So that is going to make you get something very accurate, and by the time you stitch it and hold your side dart, everything is going to align. So now I'm going to go ahead and label this accordingly. So now the first thing I'm going to be doing to this back part is to take out my zipper allowance. So note where I'm taking it at the center here. I'm just going to mark 1.5 inches all the way downward. So if there's anything that I've explained in this tutorial that you don't understand, so feel free to ask me in the comment section. I'm going to reply. So now I'm going to be taking the neck measurement just like I did to the front. You can see that I'm not going into the zipper allowance. I'm starting from here. So I'm going to be marking 2 3/4 inches just like I marked for the front. And for the depth, I'm going to come down by 1 inch because the back is going to be high. So now I'm going to connect it this way, and then I'm going to be extending it into the zipper allowance. So now from here, I'm going to be marking my shoulder measurement divided by 2, and that's 6 3/4. So I'm going to have to mark it, then I'll come downward and by 1 inch. Then I'm going to be connecting this towards the neckline, just like we did for the front part. So from this line now, I'm going to get my armhole length, which is 7 1/4. The same thing I mark for the front. And this, I'm going to mark a straight line across it, which is my chest line. So now from the shoulder slope, I'm going to connect to the chest line. Then I'll be locating the middle. So I'll mark the middle, and this time I'm going to be going in by 1/4 inch. Remember that I went in for the front by 1/2 inch, but for the back it's going to be 1/4 inch because of the sleeve that we are marking. So I'm also going to divide my bust measurement into 4, just like you can see on the chest line. And now I'm going to be connecting these 3 points together. So now there's not going to be that for the back also, just the side that we have at the front part. So at the under bust, I'm going to divide my under bust measurement into 4, and I'm going to be doing the same thing to my waist measurement. So that is what I've marked here. Now on the hip line, I'm going to divide my hip measurement into 4. That's 9 1/4. And then I'm going to add the extra 1 inch, just like I added to the front part also. So now I'm going to be connecting this with my curve. So on the hip line, I'm going to come up by 1 inch, just like I did to the front, and then connect to the blouse length in a V manner this way. And as you can see that I did not go into the zipper allowance, so do not go into the zipper allowance so while you are doing yours. So on the waistline, I'm going to, at the zipper area, I'm going to come in by 1/2 inch, and then I'm just going to connect upward and downward just like this. So this is just to take out the zip bulge. So now on the side, I'm going to be adding 1 inch all around, and this is going to be the seam allowance. So I'm not going to be adding any seam allowance on the fabric anymore, because I already took it out here on the, I already included it on the pattern. After doing this, I'm going to be taking the lower waist just like we did to the front part. So I'm going to be taking the second half length. So I'm also not going to be taking this from the shoulder measurement. Instead, I'm going to bring the front pattern. Then I'm going to measure from the actual waist, my real waist. Then I'm going to measure it to the lower waist. So I have 3.5 inches here. So I'm going to be doing the same thing here. So I'm going to mark 3.5 from my waist here, so that is going to give me my lower waist. So I have to do this to make sure that everything align by the time I'm sewing it. So when you are doing yours too, make sure that you do the same so that you can get an equal or very perfect outcome. So for the zipper allowance on the style, you can see that the zip does not extend to the end of the blouse. So the lower part is left hanging. So here on this lower waist, it's okay to stop the zipper allowance there or to stop the zip here. But for me, I'm going to be coming down by 1 inch. This is because in case I'm not wearing something that is high waist, I don't want the back to open. So I'll just come down by 1 inch. So you can stop yours at the half length. That is okay. So now I'm going to be cutting out this excess, so there's not going to be a zipper allowance here. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut this out. So this zip is only going to be at this upper part, and this lower part will be left hanging just like it is in the original style. So now we are going to be partitioning the pattern to 3 parts, and we are going to start from the front part. So from the under bust here, I'm going to be going up by 1 inch. So I'm going to place that on the actual measurement, not on the seam allowance. So I'm going to go up by 1 inch and then connect it to the waistline, the real waistline. You can see that I'm connecting it to the actual waistline, not the second waistline. So you connect it this way in a V manner. I'm just going to connect this into the seam allowance this way. Then we are going to be working on the second part. So this part is the upper part, the first partition. We are going to be dividing it into 3. So for the second one, so this is the lower waist, this lower waist. That's where we need the lower waist. So you are going to come up by 2 inches. So you can see what I'm doing. So you come up by 2 inches, and then from here you are going to come down by 1 inch. So now you are going to connect it like this, slanty. You are going to slant it this way, so you can see the way it is already slant. So you're just going to connect it this way. So this is going to be the second part, and then I'm just going to extend this into the zipper allowance. So this way we've successfully partitioned it into 3: the first part, second part, and the third part. So now we are going to be working on the back part also. So what we did for the front part, at the under bust, we came up by 1 inch. So you are going to do the same thing to the back part also. Go up by 1 inch at the under bust. Then you are going to connect it to the waistline. So I'm going to connect it this way. Just watch the way I'm doing it. Just connect it this way to the waistline. And then you're just going to go this way. It's going to go straight like this. It's not going to be V like the front part. It's just going to go straight on the waistline. So this is going to be the first part. So I'm going to label it back 1. And so for the second part, you are going to bring the front part, so that by the time we are joining it's going to align. So I'm going to bring the front part now and see where I stopped the second part. So I'm going to be doing the same thing for the back part also. So this is the front part. So you can see the second part that I, from the lower waist on the side there, from the lower waist I went up by 2 inches. So that is for the second part. So I'm going to be doing the same thing to the back part. So from the lower waist also, I'm going to be going up by 2 inches. So this is so that by the time we are joining it's going to align. So I'm just going to mark this one straight. It's not going to be V like the back part. So just for it to be equal, I'm going to mark 2 inches here also. So I'm going to take my ruler now and draw it straight down like this. So this is going to be back 2 and this lower part is going to be back 3. So it is this simple. So this second part, I'll just extend it to the zip allowance so that it can be bold also. So the small part is the second part and the lower part is the third part. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut this, and then I'm going to be transferring this onto the fabric. So while transferring this pattern to the fabric, so do not forget to transfer your dart also. So you have to notch your dart on this side. So guys, I don't know what happened to my setup. So this video did not just come out, this part did not come out very well, so you have to bear with me. I'm just going to explain. So around here, the neck and the shoulder, I added ½ inch. I did not add anything to this side, and then at the upper part and lower part I added ½ inch also for joining allowance or stitching allowance. Then here you can see where I have the dart at the upper part, I notch it. So here I already cut out the lining with the fabric together. So I'm notching the lining and the fabric together here so that I can indicate where my side dart is going to be. So you want to go ahead and do the same thing. So that way it's going to be easy for you to place your side dart. And for the back part also, I did the same thing. I added ½ inch on the shoulder part and on the lower part. And the same thing for the middle and the back, the upper part and the lower part, I added ½ inch. I did not add anything to the side because we already include the same allowance. So as you can see that I have, for the upper part, I used light blue and I also use light blue lining. And for the middle part, I use red and the lower part red. And I also use red lining also. So that is what I choose to do just to make it look nice. So for the sewing part, there are various ways to go about the sewing. So I'm going to be showing you at least 2 methods and the method that I also use to join this style. I'm going to be uploading the sewing tutorial. Turn on your notifications. See you in my next video. Bye.